Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, welcome once again to Christian Leadership. Um, we are, like, just to reiterate that, Christian Leadership, we are looking at it is in three sections, right? So, we're looking at leading through time as the first section, and that is what we are looking at right now. That is what we are studying. And we will also move into the second section, like winning with people, because leadership is about being engaging. I mean, engaging with people and leading people. So we can't have leadership in a vacuum, right? So we will look at that. And the third section is about teams, like leading teams and um, the dynamic in teams and so on. So that's how we have structured this course into three sections, right? So we're on the first section, which is leading through time, meaning leading in a long term way, right? And we've been looking at several things: vision, mission, um, goals, objectives, etc. Um, and like I said, like if you're in a leadership role already, even if it's a small role, all this is transferable in the sense, whatever you're learning, you're able to picture that. Okay, I can put this here, I can do this here, right? So all this is something that you can do. It seems transferable, but if not, it seems to be a little more very theoretical, right? If you're not in a leadership role, it might seem kind of theoretical, but then it's important that we understand this, so that when we get to leading a team, maybe a small team, big team, whatever, then we can actually put this to good use, right? Um, in any case, the things that we're talking about when it comes to vision, when it comes to mission, and also planning, etc., that is irrespective of whether we are engaged in leading people or not. That holds good, right? Whether we have a formal role or not, this holds good. We need to have this skill. We need to have this understanding, right? Okay. Okay, so we've been looking at organizing. So what is it to organize something? Anyone? What does it mean to organize? Huh? Manage. Okay. Is it to manage? Arranging? Yes. So organize essentially means arranging something in a sequential manner, in a systematic manner, right? So you organize something. There's some order to it, right? When you before and after arranging, there's a difference, right? So we are looking at when it comes to ministry, when it comes to church, should things be organized? Should things be arranged in an orderly manner? So that's the question, right? So we looked at how we need to arrange our church or organize our church or ministry, right? And the things that we looked at last class about organizing the churches, to think of it, okay, there can be some ministries within the church. There are some ministries outside of the church. There are ministries which are beyond the scope of, which is beyond even the immediate surrounding, which we call as missions. So if we have that structure in our mind, it will be easier for us to think of ministries, right? In our church, whatever we are doing, we can slot it. Okay, this particular activity, this particular ministry, it belongs in the third category, which is missions, right? Because we are talking about church planting, we are talking about sending teams. Okay, it is not the first category, which is looking within. It is not about nurturing the church or developing the church. It's a third category, which is missions, right? So like that, when we put together or when we organize the activities, the events, the programs of the church, right, we can actually put it in three different categories. It will be helpful for us, right? So in what way will it be helpful? We can actually focus. Okay, is it something that is developing people in the church? So focus. Okay, what can I do to develop people inside church? What can I do to develop the people in what is required for them to reach outside evangelism? What can we as a church do in order to evangelize, in order to do outreaches, right? So it brings focus, and whenever there is focus, there is better impact. Um, it's like, let's say you have a target. They give you the gun or something to shoot the target. Okay, you have those circles, right? So what happens, if you're looking somewhere and then shooting, you might or you may not hit the target, right? You're talking to someone, and then you're casually chatting, and then you hold the gun up, and then you shoot it. You may or may not hit the target, but when you actually concentrate, when you hold the gun there, you're holding it tight, you're making sure it's not shaking, and you're closing one eye and looking through that eye, into that whatever that focus thing is, and then you're looking at the target, then, which means that you are more likely to hit closer to the target, or if not the exact middle of the target, the what you call as the bullseye, right? You are more likely to shoot that, right? Why? Because you're focusing now. Same thing, right? If we focus now, when we organize, it helps us to focus. And if we are focused, we are most likely to hit the target, right? You will not miss, right, the target. So that's the thing. So it'll be impactful. So that is why, it helps to organize, right? Okay, so we looked at organizing the church or the ministry. The second thing that we need to organize is the people, right? We need to organize people who are involved in serving, people who are involved in leading. They need to be organized, okay, arranged, right? Whenever we say organized, we're talking about arranging in an orderly manner, right? Okay, so in a church or in a ministry, you could have different types of people, right? You could have church staff, like full-time staff. You could have volunteers. You could have consultants, and so on. So, the way to arrange effectively is to have ministry leaders, right? People who lead different ministries. Okay, why is it important? Then the responsibility of leading a particular ministry can come under that person. Okay, when you say, it's not giving that ministry or asking some random person to lead, but you're asking a person who's qualified, called, gifted, and who has a heart for it, right? Who's humble, who wants to learn, all that, right? But the thing is, we need to have someone who is leading that particular like ministry or area of ministry, right? It's important so that that person can, head the ministry, take care of the responsibilities within that ministry, and raise up other leaders and so on. So have ministry leaders. Maybe, as a new church plant, the pastor actually will end up doing everything, right? I'm sure you've experienced that, right? If it's a small church, if it's a new church plant, then there may not be many leaders, right? So you end up doing everything, right? You are the worship leader, you are the usher, you are the the preacher, you are the sound man, everything. You're the sound guy, you are doing, and then after everybody goes, you clean up, and then you lock and go, right? So you're doing everything, like you're the housekeeping person as well. But what happens is when the church grows, when people, more and more people come, and God sends people who have the same vision and who have the same heart, then you're raising up leaders to take care of the responsibilities, to delegate, to give some of the weight that you are carrying so that they can carry it, right? So that you can carry something else, right? So that is all it is, when it comes to delegation. They are carrying the weight of what you're carrying. So what are some different ministries that you can think of, that can be in a typical church, right? There could be children's church, there could be youth, there could be teens ministry. I'm thinking of all that is happening here, right? Maybe in another church there could be different other kinds of ministries which are there, but it helps to have someone as a leader for that particular ministry, right? So ministry leaders. Then you could also have team leaders within that ministry. Within the ministry itself, you could have certain team leaders, right? Let's say you have a ministry leader, like if you take a church location, right? Who is the ministry leader for that church location? Who would be the leader for that church location? The pastor, right? So in our setting, we have what we call as an associate pastor who takes care of whatever happens in that church location, right? We have an associate pastor who take, I mean, like I'm talking about Bangalore, right? So we have an associate pastor, so we have church, and within that church location, there are different teams, right? What are some teams that you can think of? Worship team, ushering team, meet and greet, welcoming, sorry, parking, media, sound and setup, right? So we have different functions, functional teams, right, which take care of different functions, different tasks. That is what we're saying, right? Different tasks routinely in a certain thing, right? So each of these tasks or teams would also need to have someone leading it, right? Who does the thing of planning, coordinating, scheduling, who does what, and troubleshooting. If there is a problem, technical problem, whatever, to troubleshoot, etc. So we need to have different people overseeing these functional areas, right? So we need to. It's good to have team leaders. So you know, we're looking at this because when we probably start our own ministries, or maybe we are, already doing that, we can think in these terms, right? Okay, this particular area, oh, there seems to be no one, right? People are just doing what they want to do, and it's sincere. People are coming and helping, but there's no one to coordinate it, right? So that becomes a challenge, right? That becomes a challenge area, and every time they will come to you if you're the associate pastor. That okay, what should I do? Why? Because there's no functional leader there. That's the thing. Okay, maybe for some time you can lead, right? Till that another person can be placed there as a leader, right? Then we also have within those teams different people doing it. These could be volunteers who are serving and in different ways, and they're serving Sunday after Sunday, or sometimes even during the week they're serving in those teams, right? So it's good to find out and allocate people in all these kind of areas. So you will know, okay, hey, this area doesn't have enough volunteers serving, right? Doesn't have enough people. Basically, it just means people, but we're saying, okay, these are people who are not staff, who are volunteers, which means they are, willingly they are serving with their time and effort. Okay, a volunteer is just that, right? Someone who is willingly doing it, and not as a a staff, or not as an employee, sorry, right? So you think of it, you organize it, you can arrange it that way. Okay, so we are organizing the ministry in these ways, right? Then the third thing that we can organize is our time. We need to organize is our time, or our schedule, as we call it, right? So when we think of a resource, normally we think of money as a resource, right? Money, okay, it's a resource, something that is useful, something that is valuable. Um, we think of people as a resource also, right? Human resource. And that's why we have human resource management, and so on. So human resource, right? People, because why? People are valuable. People, they have intrinsic value, but also people are valuable because they have skills, abilities, which not everybody has. They have unique skills and abilities, and they do something, and which is very, very valuable. Their contribution to a particular task or project is valuable, right? Similarly, time also is a resource, because time is valuable, right? For a businessman, he will say time is money, right? Because uh, in a day, whatever that person does in terms of for business, in terms of earning, right? So time equals money, right, for that person. um, and time is very valuable, because simply because you cannot get back, right? So you cannot get back. I'm sure you've heard people saying, oh, those were the days, wonderful time we used to have, some the senior folks will be saying, "Oh, those were the days. What are you guys doing? Those days when we were young, we used to do this, that." No, but the thing is that they are having wonderful memory. That's great. Good times and all that. But time, once it is elapsed, you cannot get back. You cannot rewind. We can only rewind our whatever videos or track or whatever, but you cannot rewind time, right? So time is a and it's an important resource. It's a valuable resource, and therefore it needs to be planned well so that it is used well, right? So when you plan, then you will not waste it, right? If you think it's valuable, then you will plan. But if you think it's not valuable, then we will not plan, right? So if we, according to us, if we know the value of time, then you will plan, and when we plan it, we will use it well. We will not waste it, right? So in a ministry, it helps to have what we call as a monthly calendar and also an yearly or annual calendar. Okay, so in a so what do we do? What do we mean by that? I'm sure you've seen the website, church website, right? So it has there's one section where probably I'll just for those who are watching, I'll just bring that up. Okay, so it has a calendar, right? Um, okay, it's a little slow. Okay, so yeah, let me just share that. Okay, there we go. Okay, for the online class, I'm sharing it here, and in person, if you can, I don't know, maybe you've seen it, right? You've seen the website. Okay, it has several tabs. One is events. So if you go under events, okay, let's. Okay, I'm not. Don't have a projector here, but yeah, if you have a phone, you can just check. Okay. Okay, so it has. So basically, what we are doing is putting the entire program, ministry, events, right, of the church in an annual calendar, right from January, running all the way to end of December 2025. Put it in an annual calendar. There are some events which happen, recurringly, in the sense there's a Friday, a fasting prayer, and monthly there are some things that happen, over and over again. So we put this so that it actually helps do certain things, right? Like we talked about focus. Yes, it helps bring focus. It also helps to plan ahead, right? Whoever's the ministry team leader or ministry leader is able to plan. Like, for example, if you look at this one, right? Worship night. It says Saturday, 15th February 2025. There's a worship night. Okay, just click that. Okay, it talks about the venue, right? It talks about the date. It is also giving the timing, and it says something about the event, um, and then some invitation, bring your friends, etc. Map, everything is there. So yeah, so 15th of February. So what does that mean? That means that okay, whoever is the ministry leader or the team leader can plan ahead. Right? They can plan ahead. They can say, okay, this is happening. Now it's going to be what, maybe 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. So, we need to do whatever we need to do. We need to get ready. We need to get um, you know, the uh, the planning. We need to get the songs. Just one second. Sorry. Yeah. Gertrude. Yeah. Yeah. It is. You can check the website. So let me just the APC website. I just put it on the chat. apcwo.org. Yeah. and you can go to the tab called under the tab called events. You look under events, and then under events there is it says calendar, right? So you go under that, you go there, and then yeah, so it's online. Yes. Okay. So it says church calendar. Under events, it says just 1 second. So apcw.org, click on the tab events, and then click on church calendar. So we have that, right? So it helps to plan ahead. So this, I think this, the planning for this started sometime in October. Um, Refining this, changing what needed to be changed, etc. And then by December or beginning of January, it was all confirmed, and then we put it up, right? So yeah, so different events, right? Different ministries. There will be, if you go through this, you will see there will be some youth events. There'll be one teen church retreats. There'll be youth camp. There'll be worship nights like this, which are called upper room. Then it'll also have conferences like men's conference, women's conference. Then it'll all have kids conference, marriage and family conference. All these dates are confirmed and put so that you can plan ahead. That's one thing. You can think of because several things go into every ministry event, right? Who are the speakers for the event, so they can prepare, right? Maybe there's a media team which needs to plan, cameras, recording. Maybe there is a live streaming that's happening now. Every event now there's live streaming, so people can plan, right? And also the worship teams can plan if they are required for that event. Everything, the media team can plan. Okay, what is it that we are going to do in terms of promotion for the plan, and how are we getting this information out, like to the people who need to come, right? To everyone, how are we going to invite them? That is a promotional plan, right? And the social media team does that, thinks about that, right? And of course, we need to plan on, okay, how is it going to look? What is the design, right? The whatever we see on the screen, that is designed by someone, right? The whole logo and the artwork and everything was designed by someone. So they also need to think ahead, right? So this helps. Having an annual calendar helps, and also a monthly calendar where we have other things which are broken down. Like this is Sunday service. These are the Sundays that we are. These are the sermon topics for these Sundays. All that we plan and put it so that will help. And the reason it is online is so that it can be available for all, right? Available for the teams, available for the church. So the church, if the families in church can also plan ahead. The member of a church who's attending, they can also plan ahead. Okay, I want to be part of this event. It's a work day. So but I need to, be here. So let me make arrangements at work. Or, I'll have to travel out somewhere, but I also want to attend. Let me make some arrangements. So they can plan ahead, right? So it'll help so that people who want to be part of something can plan ahead. They can plan ahead, right? So this helps, right? So it's a simple thing, right? Organizing it in a calendar, right? So we can also have, with regard to organizing our time, we can also, if you break it down, it will become a simple daily to-do list. What are the things that you need to do daily, right? From the start to finish. Like any of you maintain a to-do list? Do you have a to-do list? Like if you write down somewhere, okay, these are the things I need to do today. No? You're thinking in your mind. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? I know Sam Matthews, he has a lot of to-do lists. Yeah, I also have a Google to-do list. It's on my phone, and let me just. Okay, oh, I can't show it right. Okay. Anyway, so it's called Google Tasks, right? So it has so in within that I can have many lists. So it's a simple thing, right? You can download that and keep it. Google Tasks. Simple thing would be to write down. Okay, date, write down. Okay. Um, there's a person by name. Um, his second name is Bregman. So he actually helps with this. He's about planning your time especially. And his to-do list is actually broken up into maybe 4 areas or 6 areas. Six if you're looking at some big responsibilities that you're actually carrying. Now, each of that under each of that, you could have your separate to-do list, right? So that you don't miss out on any particular area. Like, so for example, if you're in charge of children's ministry, if you're also in charge of children's outreach like Catalyst, what Pastor Selina does, right? Catalyst, then maybe you're involved in other things, single adults meeting, etc. So there are 3 different areas, and there could be things that you need to do for each of these areas, right? So each of these areas might have multiple things, and depending on how big the tasks are, how complex the tasks are, you will have various things. Like for me, for example, I have some areas that I need to, for my to-do list. One area would be the church location that I take care of, oversee. Okay, APC South. Okay. Another area would be the area of ministry that I take care of, that is member care. Okay. Another area would be APC ministry area would be something called life coaching. Okay. So that's the third one. Then another area would be Bible College, teaching. Okay. That's number 4. Then another area would be, I take care of things that happen when it comes to marriages and marriage preparation and all that. Okay. Then one more area would be something called chrysalis, like chrysalis counseling that we oversee. So, right. So you have these 4, 5, maybe 6 areas, and one extra could be some miscellaneous tasks, some admin things that need to do. So, sorry. Yeah. So Diksha's question is, okay, what if we have, as students, just have one thing, same thing over and over again? Yeah. But the thing is, that your schedule changes every day, right? In the sense, Monday you have different set of subjects, Tuesday you have a different set of subjects, and then, within the day, your to-do list, your schedule could be, there will be certain things that are the same, right? Maybe the time that you wake up, the time that you go to bed, and in between your preparation, whatever you're studying, everything, all that would be thing. But personally, you can have your own to-do list. Maybe there are certain things that you want to learn, there are certain things that you want to train yourself in, right? And for that, you don't want to miss out on it. Okay, yeah, I agree that it could be simple list, but you can still have a list so that you don't want to miss out on it, so you can organize your time. um, in addition to this, you can actually time box your list, your tasks in the list, right? Task is every single thing that you need to do, and you can put a time to it, meaning, okay, from this time to this time I'm doing these tasks. I'm going to study the subject, maybe Christian leadership, but I'm going to give 30 minutes for it to study. So that list that you can do, so that you don't miss out on it. And you can also put a time, start time, end time, so that you can move on to the next tasks, next other tasks. So that'll be really helpful. And once we get into it, the habit of doing it, we need to be a little flexible, right? But if we actually are disciplined in it, we can actually do a lot of things in our day. In our 24 hours day, we can actually do a lot of things, right? And the like the successful people are those who are actually able to successfully manage their time, right? We sometimes think, I remember once there was a big conference, huge conference, which I attended here in Bangalore many years ago. It was like we had a different ministries there. There was Joyce Meyer there. They had some Hillsong concert and conference, and some other group. And so there was a group called Delirious. I don't know if you know the British band, all gospel, right? So they were there, and so it was a huge thing, right, in Palace grounds in Bangalore. And it was for about 3 days, I think, or maybe 5 days. I don't remember. Mornings there will be some teaching sessions. Evenings there will be some worship concerts, and meetings. And so 5 days, big things happening. And I got to see the person who was actually running the whole thing. Right, he was the manager, events. And I saw him. I thought he'll be just running from one place to another. Doing this, that. Oh, is this done? Is this done? I saw him just walking, relaxing. Right? He's just talking, shaking hands with people, talking, and very relaxed. Right? Then you realize that he's actually managed his time, delegated, planned everything well, so that he can be like that. So that things can be, and these were things which are running very effectively, right? And I've never seen such a level of excellence, right, in everything, in the way things were arranged, organized, done very well, right? So you realize that, hey, this is someone who is managing the time well, managing the calendar, managing their daily list, delegating of responsibilities and everything. It's done well. They've planned in advance, and he's done it well. So you don't have to be running from one place to another. So that is what organizing enables you to do, right? So if your daily, even this to-do list and everything, if you're able to do it, plan it well, and execute it well, you're able to manage this big resource called time, and very well, right? So that helps. Any questions? Okay. I just wanted to say that we have a subject called church administration. Okay, and that you go into greater depth and greater detail of whatever goes into administration of a church. I think it's a very, very interesting subject, and it's a good learning, actually. So I'm not sure if you have it this year, next year, right? Okay. Oh, this year any semester is done, right? So third year. So it's a very interesting subject, and I think it's really worth doing that, right? Okay. Okay. So next area where we need to organize is the area of finances. Okay. So which means money, finances. This is one area which can go wrong very quickly, and we need to really manage it well. Okay. So like we studied in our first year about financial stewardship, right? The importance of stewarding it well. Okay, the importance of having the right perspective towards it. So one of the thing is to be accountable. Okay, so what does it mean to be accountable? It means that to be accountable just means that you are responsible, and you are giving an account for all that is entrusted to you. That's it, right? You're giving an account saying, okay, this was given to me, and this is this was given to me, and here it is. Okay, in the case of money, you're saying, I used X amount of money out of the 100 that you gave me. 50 I used for this, the 20 I used for something else. Here's the balance. Here's the 30, right? So being accountable, and it also means that I used it for things that were necessary. I did not use it for wasteful things. I used it in the right way. You're being accountable, right? So we are accountable to God first and foremost for everything the responsibilities and everything that is entrusted to us. Okay, in terms of ministry, all that goes on. We are accountable first and foremost to God, right? And we are also accountable to people, man. Right? We are accountable to people. So this is one thing that needs to be handled. This one area, which is money, it needs to be handled well. Okay, it needs to be handled well because if it's not handled well, it gives rise to complaints. People can blame the ministry because of it. Okay, so if you look at Paul's ministry, how he dealt with this thing, you see that he takes things. He's very careful, right? If you look at 1 Corinthians and 2 Corinthians, both these epistles, he talks about someone to whom the money can be entrusted, right? He talks about a collection, a gather, an offering. Then he says, you can give it to someone whom you trust. He's telling the church, whom you trust, whom you think is responsible. You give it so that he can, go and give it to the saints who are in Jerusalem who need it. Right. So he's giving he's giving an appeal, saying, okay, they need the money, and then so I'm sure you also agreed to do that, but you give it to the person. The whole collection, you give it to the person whom you think is responsible, whom you think is trustworthy, and you can give it. So, well, Paul can take it himself, right? Paul can do it himself. He can take the money and he can go. But he said, no, you need to trust. As a church, you need to trust this person, and you pick a person who is trustworthy, who's responsible, and you give it, so that his ministry need not be blamed unnecessarily. Right? People need not have any doubts. People need not have any suspicions. Hey, did the money go in between the journey? Did Paul use it for something else? All that he did not want. Right? So this should be done in the right way, in the best way, right? With all structures in place or processes in place. So it means that we need to have processes, meaning simple steps in place. A process is a series of steps: start, finish. What is the first step of the process? What is the last step of the process? Like it's like a cooking thing. How do you make tea? Step 1, water. Then I'm just trying to learn how to make good tea. Tell me. Water, tea powder, sugar, milk. Okay, this is all things that you need. Then first step, boil the water, then add the tea powder. You add the tea powder before it boils, or only after it boils you put? After it boils, right? So that's okay. Then the sugar, then the milk. Okay, I didn't know that. I usually add the sugar last, after the putting the thing. Okay, so in the water and it's boiling itself, you put the sugar, is it? Oh, okay. After putting the milk, you add the sugar. Okay, fine. And then how long do you keep it? How long do you keep it? So it's boiling. You added the milk. You added the sugar. Now, how long should I keep it? Should it? Till the color. Okay, it should be that reddish brown, whatever color. Okay. But if I keep boiling, what happens? It'll be strong, but it'll also become bitter, right? The taste will be a very strong taste. Some people like it, some people don't. Okay. So these are steps. So step 1, step 10, whatever. So this whole thing is a process. Okay. So for an effective process, it needs to have good results. Just like how you said, step 1 to step 10. I just need to have a process. So for money, for finances, we need to have an effective process. Process for when the income comes in, right? Income is money coming in. Expense is money going out. What is the process? That's all. It's very simple. We just need to have effective process, right? For example, you would have noticed in the Sunday service when we have offertory collected. Okay, does anyone have any of you seen the process when we collect the offertory? What we do with it? Can you just tell me what happens? Yeah, you've served. You guys only serve. You only take care of it. So okay. So what do you do? Okay. So let's say during the service, money is collected. Okay. Then what happens? Yeah, you guys.
Yeah, we'll first of all we count how many people came to that service.
Hmm.
We will write it down.
Okay.
Then we'll separate 500 notes, 100 notes. We'll write it on that sheet.
Okay.
We will add the money. Two of we how many people we counted. We signature to that,
Okay.
and we will stamp that cover, and we'll give it to the pastor.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. So do you also maintain a register there? Yeah. So these things are there. So why do we do that? See, why can't we just put all the money in one plastic cover or a bag and just give it to the pastor saying, "Hey, this is the offertory. Please take it." Why do we do that? Huh? What does that help? This counting. It seems like too much work. No, every Sunday. Why should we? What does it? How does it help? Okay, so we know how much comes in, how much money is coming in. Okay, and so that's okay. We count there, but can't the office count? You just put in a cover, you give it, let them count. No, there's an accountant and hmm, clear and transparent. Okay, okay. So one thing is that there is we check. Okay, if you notice, okay, how many what kind of denomination, right? The meaning 500s, hundreds, 50s, tens, whatever. So we count that, right? Just like how you do it in a bank, right? So you count that, so okay, this is the thing, and these are how many notes have come in. These are maybe coins, and maybe checks have come and all that. And you maintain a record there in church location itself, and you see that whoever's counted, they sign off. Okay, on this Sunday, these were the people who counted, and this is the money that came in. So the record is there in the register. You've signed it and you hand it out, right? Suppose there is a mismatch. We can always find out, okay, why is there a mismatch? Was it a wrong? See, you have three people, so the chance of like counting it wrong is minimized, right? Three people are there or two people are there. It's not just one person. If it's one person, okay, I can make a mistake, right? Maybe that day I was sleepy, early in the morning I'm going there and I might make a mistake. But if there are two people, you can check. There's a balance. You can check and see, okay, there's a thing. And you are also making the record over there, and then before giving it to the pastor, whoever, who brings it to the church office. In the church office also, it's counted, recounted again. They check, okay, this is the so many notes, and so what is the amount? They check it, okay, is it correct? Ticket, right? So there's a process. It safeguards. Okay, there is a safeguard. There is a check. There is a what we'd call as a check and balance, so that the wrongdoing can be minimized. Right? There's no question of money being taken for any other thing, because this is people are giving, trusting that it will be used for the work of ministry, for the upkeep of the ministry, for advancement of God's kingdom. So it needs to be stewarded well. So when we have these processes, it makes it safe, right? That and also protects that the money, there's no waste, there's no pilferage, which means that unwanted taking away, and then it makes sure that it's safely deposited where it needs to be. Okay, so that is why we have. So that's a simple thing, right? So every day, every Sunday, how much money is coming in, right? And so this much of money needs to be put into the bank, right? It is not for personal use, right? It is not for, somebody to use it for a personal thing, but it is to be put for the work of ministry, designated for the work of ministry, right? And we have to make sure it happens. So that is what a process does, right? So that is what accountability is. So, in your ministry, in your church, we need to have processes in place so that, this one area does not get blamed. People cannot blame, right? People cannot blame at all, right? So a record of all the money that comes in, offerings, contributions, a record of all the expenses. Now that's the other thing, right? So if money is given for some particular expense, what are some expenses? A lot of expenses, right? You could have rent, you could have electricity bill, you could have water bill, you could have tea, refreshments on a Sunday, right? A lot of expenses, travel, commute, all that. So expenses also needs to be recorded, right? And how can you record an expense? It is when you get a bill for every expense, right? When you get a bill, that means when you get a receipt, that means that, okay, you've used that particular expense, or maybe a voucher is signed if cash is given. So these are ways by which you can record all the expenses of the ministry, right? So with this proof, you make a statement and you keep it. Yes, it is time consuming. Yes, it is sometimes, not very comfortable. You need to do it, but it takes effort, but it needs to be done, right? It needs to be done so that the money can be organized. If you do it for a smaller, when the money is coming in as small or less, then, when the system is in place, that even when the amounts increase, right, the system will take care of it. The process will take care of it. Because the process, of course, sometimes you might have to like fine tune the process and make sure that it's foolproof from time to time. But this will take care, right? So simple thing is, I need to make a note of all that I'm spending. I need to make a note of all that is coming in, all the income of towards the ministry, right? Okay, so we'll stop here. Next class, we'll talk about delegation, developing leaders. That's also an interesting area. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you. God bless.